Hey, Steelers fans, let's dive into the latest developments surrounding our Pittsburgh Steelers, because there's a lot to unpack this week. If you've been paying attention, you know that some decisions on the field have been downright baffling, especially when it comes to how certain players are being used, or more accurately, not being used. Let's talk about Pat Freiermuth. This guy has quietly been performing well when given the opportunity, yet somehow he keeps getting sidelined in moments where the offense really needs him. Over the first 12 games, he's managed 26 catches on 32 targets for just under 300 yards. That's less than half of what DK Metcalf has put up, but it's still enough to make him the second leading receiver on the team, regardless of position. On top of that, he scored 4 touchdowns, had a long catch of 68 yards, and accumulated over 150 yards after the catch. 12 of those catches went for first downs. Clearly, he's contributing, but it seems the coaching staff has found creative ways to limit his impact. Take the game this past Sunday against the Bills, for example. The Steelers desperately needed a spark in the middle of the field, something to move the chains and get first downs. And yet, Freiermuth was on the field for just 17 snaps. 17. And he wasn't targeted even once. 0. You can count on one hand the number of times he touched the ball. Literally 0. When asked about it, he was professional, measured, and respectful in his response. He mentioned understanding his role and having faith in the coaching staff. But make no mistake, this is frustrating for any player who knows he can help the team in key situations. The disconnect here is hard to ignore because the offense's identity has leaned heavily on the tight end position. Yet the most effective player at that spot has been left on the sidelines when the team needed him most. This isn't an isolated incident, either. The Steelers have made a series of puzzling decisions across the board this season, from offensive play calling to defensive substitutions, and even on special teams. Every move raises questions, whether it's about how a returner is used or why certain veterans are brought in. You may remember the trade that brought in John Smith from Miami, coming off a career-best season with 88 catches, 53 of which moved the sticks. That was seen as a solid acquisition, particularly given his prior experience with the coaching staff. Smith was supposed to slot in and provide versatility, and yet much of that potential has gone unrealized. Routes that players are familiar with, the ones they've run hundreds of times in practice, are being given to others, while the player best equipped to execute them is left out of the equation. In Sunday's game, a play perfectly suited for Freiermuth went to Darnell Washington instead, resulting in an easy interception. It's not just a missed opportunity. It's a symptom of a larger problem in the offensive decision-making process. Even beyond tight ends, the pattern of acquisitions and playing time decisions has been inconsistent. Fans have pointed to the team bringing in veteran stars, questioning whether the Steelers are simply chasing aging players who may no longer deliver. There's a perception that the roster is built on nostalgia more than strategy, citing names like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Darius Slay, and Mike Williams. But when you dig deeper, the reasoning behind each move often makes sense when you consider timing, roster gaps, and the immediate needs of the team. For example, Rodgers was pursued because the Steelers did not have a ready-to-start quarterback for 2025. Williams was added before the trade deadline to fill a specific role, and Slay's signing, while short-lived in terms of peak performance, was intended to provide coverage experience for a season that demanded it. When looking at Adam Thielen, many see yet another aging acquisition, but the situation is more nuanced. He wasn't actively pursued in the traditional sense. Rather, he sought a new opportunity after a long tenure with Minnesota, and the Steelers provided a place for him to contribute, even if only for a handful of plays here and there. Thielen's addition isn't a continuation of a trend of chasing old stars. It's situational, a strategic plug into the roster where timing and existing chemistry with the quarterback matter more than age or hype. Circling back to the offense, the story is clear. When certain players are allowed to participate fully, they can deliver results. Freiermuth exemplifies that. He has the skills to produce crucial first downs, make plays over the middle, and provide reliable targets in the red zone. Yet, he remains underutilized, a trend that has become increasingly frustrating for fans, players, and anyone who follows the team closely. It's not just about individual stats. It's about maximizing the talent on the roster to support the team's broader objectives. The contrast between opportunity and output is stark, and the choices made by the coaching staff, whether intentional or not, have contributed to a disconnect between potential and performance. This is where fans scratch their heads, seeing a player capable of making game-changing plays relegated to the sidelines while others take routes he knows better than anyone, in situations that could define the outcome of the game. What makes it even more confusing is the historical context of these players. Freiermuth, Smith, and even some of the older veterans have proven track records. They know the system, understand their roles, and have the ability to execute at a high level. Yet, the season has shown a repeated pattern where utilization doesn't always match ability. Mistakes happen, of course. Players miss routes, quarterbacks misread coverage. But when the choices to sideline a productive contributor seem strategic rather than circumstantial, it's difficult to reconcile. Fans want to see the pieces fit together logically, where talent meets opportunity. Right now, there's a sense that potential is being left untapped. And let's not forget about the tight end's role in the broader offensive scheme. The Steelers have historically relied on tight ends to provide a dual-threat option. They can block, catch, and move the chains consistently. When the offense is built around such a strategy, sidelining the most capable player at that position feels counterintuitive. The frustration isn't only in missed yardage or lost opportunities. It's in the missed first downs, the stall drives, and the plays that never reach their intended target. The cumulative effect is a season that seems full of what-ifs, where execution is hampered not by player skill, but by decisions that are sometimes difficult to understand from the outside. Fans, analysts, and even the players themselves are left questioning the logic behind it. Adding to the intrigue, the narrative around veteran acquisitions often overshadows the real story of the season. Players like Thielen and Wilson are seen through the lens of age and past performance, while the context of timing, chemistry with the quarterback, and roster gaps are overlooked. It's easy to critique the team for chasing past glory, but when you examine the sequence of moves, you realize that the staff often makes these decisions based on immediate needs, rather than a nostalgic pursuit of former stars. Each signing or benching has a reason, sometimes obvious, sometimes subtle, but the overall picture is more complex than simple fan narratives suggest. Ultimately, the 2025 season so far is full of contradictions. Talented players are sidelined, veterans are added with specific purposes, and game plans sometimes ignore the most effective options available. Freiermuth remains a focal point of this discussion because he embodies the tension between talent and opportunity. Every time he's on the field, he has the chance to make plays that change the momentum of a game. Yet, the decisions to limit his involvement create a disconnect that fans notice immediately. It's not a question of his ability, it's a question of utilization. And that's where the season's most puzzling narrative continues to unfold, game after game, snap after snap. As we continue to unpack the Steelers season, it's impossible not to notice the recurring theme of misalignment between talent and opportunity. Take the quarterback situation, for instance. Mason Rudolph has shown flashes of competence, but the surrounding pieces and game plans often put him in situations where his options are limited. The chemistry he could have with players like Freiermuth, or even a newly integrated veteran like Adam Thielen, is undermined when the offense chooses alternative routes or sidelines the very players most capable of executing the plays. When a quarterback has a reliable tight end or a wide receiver who knows the system intimately, the team can create mismatches, keep defenses guessing, and sustain drives. Yet, for reasons that are hard to pin down, the Steelers seem to struggle with deploying these pieces in a way that maximizes their impact. Let's dive deeper into some specific examples. On several occasions, the tight end has been completely ignored in critical situations. While the playbook allows for multiple options, the coaching staff's execution often feels like a misstep. In high-pressure scenarios, a tight end who can consistently secure first downs is more than just a receiving option. He's a stabilizing force. But when Freiermuth is on the sidelines or rarely targeted, the offense loses not just a receiver, but a reliable method of moving the chains. Every missed opportunity compounds the frustration for fans who understand the potential of these matchups. It's not just a statistic on a sheet. It's momentum that could shift the outcome of games, yards that could set up scoring drives, and plays that define the rhythm of the team's offensive identity. Then there's the matter of timing and veteran integration. Adam Thielen's arrival has sparked debate among fans about whether the Steelers are chasing aging players or making calculated roster moves. The reality is more nuanced. Thielen's presence is not just about his name or past accolades. It's about immediate compatibility and the ability to contribute, even in a limited capacity. He knows the quarterback, understands some of the system, and can be slotted into critical plays that require precision and reliability. While some may view this as a stopgap, it's also an example of strategic thinking that doesn't always make headlines. The Steelers are trying to plug gaps and find synergies mid-season, which is never simple, especially when the season is already underway and every snap counts. Contrast that with past acquisitions that fans have criticized. Russell Wilson and Darius Slay, for example, were brought in under specific circumstances that made sense given roster needs and timing. Wilson, despite his age, was needed because the team lacked a ready-to-start quarterback. Slay's signing was intended to shore up coverage at a position that required experience, and while it may not have produced long-term results, the rationale was understandable. Even Mike Williams was brought in with a precise role in mind, designed to fill immediate gaps due to injuries and roster changes. What many fans perceive as chasing past stars is often a misinterpretation of situational roster management and strategic decision-making under the constraints of a live season. The offensive inconsistencies, however, remain the most visible and frustrating element of this season. Freiermuth's limited usage is a microcosm of the larger issue, a team that knows where its strengths lie, yet struggles to fully capitalize on them. When a player is repeatedly capable of executing critical plays, yet is left out of the equation, it raises questions about offensive philosophy, play calling, and overall strategy. This is not a reflection of individual talent. It is a reflection of organizational decision-making. Every missed target, every snap not utilized effectively, erodes potential momentum and can shift the outcome of games in ways that fans and analysts immediately notice. Moreover, the perception of veteran acquisitions as purely nostalgia-driven adds another layer of scrutiny. While the addition of older players often draws headlines and sparks debate, the underlying reasoning is usually tied to roster needs, timing, and relationships with existing players. The quarterback-wide receiver connection with Thielen, for instance, is based on mutual trust and the ability to quickly integrate into a mid-season offense. The same logic applied to other veterans suggests that many decisions are pragmatic, not sentimental. Yet, because the results are mixed, it's easy for fans to see only the surface narrative, that the Steelers are chasing former stars instead of building around their younger, productive talent. On defense, the pattern continues. Rotations, substitutions, and positional decisions often leave fans scratching their heads, wondering why certain players are on the field in critical moments while others, perhaps more suited to the situation, are left on the sideline. This adds to the perception of inconsistency across the entire organization. Special teams, too, have been subject to similar scrutiny. Every decision, from kickoff returns to personnel placement, contributes to a narrative of unpredictability that affects the team's overall cohesion. While some of these moves may have sound reasoning behind them, the lack of transparency and visible logic creates a sense of confusion and frustration among the fan base. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has instantly set the rumor mill spinning, sources close to the team are buzzing about BUDDA Baker potentially shaking up Pittsburgh's defensive identity. While official channels have already confirmed Baker's arrival at Heinz Field, the whispers from insiders suggest this signing could be far more than just a roster upgrade. Word is that Baker, known for his relentless pursuit and football IQ, isn't just another name on the depth chart. He's a player who commands respect in the locker room and on the field, someone capable of transforming a defense almost overnight. Speculation is running wild about how Baker's presence could alter the Steelers' defensive schemes. Coaches reportedly see him as a versatile chess piece, able to roam the secondary, patrol the box, and deliver the kind of leadership that galvanizes a unit that has shown flashes but lacked a true floor general. Among the chatter, there's talk of young defenders already taking notes, adjusting their routines, and quietly competing to impress a player of Baker's caliber. Some insiders suggest that his arrival might even influence future draft considerations, as Pittsburgh could feel more comfortable taking risks elsewhere, knowing Baker anchors the back end. Social media and fan forums are alight with debate. Some suggest this is the move that finally signals Pittsburgh's intent to chase a top-tier defensive identity, while others wonder if the pressure of expectations could be a challenge for Baker in a new system. Rumors are also swirling about how the locker room dynamic will shift. Baker isn't just a playmaker. He's a personality, and sources hint at his ability to mentor rookies, challenge veterans, and set a tone in practice that could ripple through the entire organization. While the details of how exactly he will be deployed remain under wraps, insiders insist that this signing is strategic, signaling Pittsburgh's commitment to defensive dominance. There's even talk that rival teams are quietly adjusting their offensive game plans, aware that a player of Baker's caliber could disrupt timing, reads, and schemes in ways that demand attention. Whether the buzz translates to immediate impact on Sundays remains to be seen, but the message from the rumor circuit is clear. Pittsburgh has added more than talent. They've acquired a leader, and the Steelers' defense might never be the same again. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.